Let's talk a little bit about your next possible opponent, because
we think we
might be able to go to the match.
Let's play all day.
Okay, so maybe if we have...
Federer cannot help himself but hide the disappointment that his opponents won't be playing an additional 2 hours.
Match point? Oh god. But this is, at the same time, it's big for Karlovic too. If you're able to save this, you could be playing for another 2 hours, you know?
It's like a freaking 6-hour match.
He's done it.
Today on Coffee Break Tennis, Roger Federer impresses in the second round. But what is most impressive to total unibros such as myself is that he is now on top of all the key stat sheets. Also, I do not hate Rafa Nadal, but some people have been commenting below that I do hate Rafa Nadal. Look, I'm wearing a Rafa hat today. If I flip this hat around, there is no RF on the back of it. See? We'll talk about that, and we will look ahead to see what is coming up in the draw, not just for Roger, but a lot of the top players in that draw. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. Let's get into it. So I thought that was so funny. Roger Federer is sitting there with Darren Cahill and Chris McKendry doing the ESPN in-studio interview. And, you know, Roger was like responding right away as he sees the match happening live on the live feed they got in studio. And some of the responses that Roger makes, like, Ivo Karlovic misses a first serve, and Roger goes mute like, ooh, that was terrible serve. It makes me wonder, you know, if that's the kind of stuff that goes through Roger's head while he's playing his matches. Anyways, Roger talks a lot about Jan-Lennard Struff, who is, of course, his next opponent. We're going to talk about that later in the show today, and we'll maybe even play a couple of clips of what Roger was saying. He's basically giving you the better match analysis of what to expect than anybody on earth can, because it's Roger telling you exactly what he expects to see from Struff. It's pretty good stuff. Also, by the way, Mr. Goat has run away because it is the 4th of July and there's fireworks sounds outside. He got a little spooked. So happy 4th of July to everybody out there. This has been a great day of tennis, but not so great for a lot of the good players and Federer's part of the draw. So I want to start today's show just by looking at what some of the other guys are going to have to deal with. So tomorrow's schedule, 8 a.m. local time here on the East Coast in the good old US of A. 1 p.m. local time. What is that, like 7 p.m. in India? Nadal will kick things off with Kukushkin, a dangerous enough player to everyone really needs to keep their eye on Rafa. Whether you love Rafa or you're like, who a lot of people will comment below think I am, hate Rafa. I don't hate Rafa. Although I did trick you, this hat says Maestro. So it's clearly a Federer hat still. My doubles partner B Money gave this to me as a gift. But look who's kicking things off on court 1. Of course, that is Marin Cilic, who I'd say most people would consider the biggest threat in the draw to Roger Federer. Bigger threat than Novak Djokovic or Rafa Nadal, any of these big-name players. Cilic is the one that people are most worried about if they want to see Roger win that 9th Wimbledon. And when you make your Grand Slam run, 2 weeks, 7 matches if you want to go to the finals, you need those rest days in between, even this early when you've only played 2 matches. Now, I know, look at Cilic's scoreline against Guido Pella. 6-3, 6-1. Easy enough, but 3-4 on serve. So that means tomorrow morning, on the day where Cilic would have been resting, a day where Roger Federer definitely is resting, Cilic would have been resting, he's going to be out there at 1 p.m. in a situation where he could easily wrap things up in 20 minutes and be out of there, or things could go horribly wrong for Cilic. Think, you're serving 3-4, it's the first game. What if he just has a rough start and he gets broken? Next thing you know, it's 5-3 with the opponent serving for the set and Cilic having to go into a 4th set on his rest day. That is not ideal. We move on. You see Taylor Fritz and Delpo Feli Lopez. That's going to be a really tough match. Simona Halep, a lot of people are saying she might win. People who win the French Open, you don't immediately think that because they had success on clay, they're going to do great on the grass. But I like Simona Halep a lot. I didn't believe in her because she'd kind of get a little choky in some big moments. Maybe now she's beyond the chokiness, so she'll be playing on that court. Let's move on, though. Fritzy and Zverev, that could be really tricky for Alexander Zverev, and get to see how healthy he is, although he looked good enough in the first round. Kevin Anderson, another big server in the Federer side of the draw. He's up 2-1 in the 4th set, 1-all, play suspended. Again, on his rest day, he'll be out there. Who else is playing on rest day? Novak Djokovic and Horacio Ceballos is after that Kevin Anderson match tomorrow, by the way. Oh, and Nishikori Bernie Tomic. Tomic, not Tomic. I read the comments below. I learn a lot. John Isner, who had a real doozy of a match. He was up 2-0, and now he is looking at another longest match of all time. Coming back on a second day, nothing new to him. Remember that, 2010 against Nicholas Mahut? So Isner will start off in a 5th set tomorrow on his rest day. Definitely not good for Isner, the biggest dude who hurts the most from matches. And we also got Jared Donaldson and Stefanos Tsitsipas. It looks like they're on serve in a 4th set tomorrow. So not so bad for Donaldson and Tsitsipas, those younger guys. Although, look, I don't care how old or young you are, you don't want to play on your freaking rest day. So that's what a lot of Roger's biggest rivals in that half of the draw are up to. What's up with Roger? Well, we go to the stat sheets because, of course, Roger had a very enjoyable day. Let's look at these overall stats. They are awesome. Remember, some of you have commented below things like, Matt, it's only 1 round. Well, now we got 2 rounds, and the numbers are trending up even more for Roger Federer. Again, this guy, Lucas Lashko, he's a really talented tennis player. If you watch the match on ESPN like I did, you heard Chris Fowler and Johnny Mack talking about how this guy was a really talented guy. Mack always thought he was going to be at least a top 40 guy, had real potential, but not the best fitness level. Very strong, very beefy. Grass is his best place to play. Also, Chris Fowler pointed out that this guy's been playing the lower tier tennis, right? The challenger type tennis. This guy's played a lot of grass court tournaments this year. I think they said he'd already played 13 matches this year, so a lot of practice on grass. And Roger gives him 16 aces on 0 double faults. Look how on this thing they highlight the winner with purple, and then you're like a grayish color. Look how the only thing that isn't grayish for Lachko over here is he was beating Roger in most double faults category. So congrats to Wacko Lacko for the 4 double faults. Roger, of course, has 0. Everything else is in purple because Roger got his first serve in 70%. Wins on first 93. Oh my. That means today he's done as good as all those best servers who were up at 93 the other day. We're going to look at the overall group stats in just a moment, but let's finish with Roger's match first. Win on second was 67% from Roger. Very good. We'll happily take 67% win on second. Net points won 81%. Break points 5 out of 9. That's better than 50%. That's great for Roger. Receiving points, Roger almost won half of the points at 43. It rounds down, but 43% of receiving points won. That's pretty good from Roger. But what's most impressive about this match? Check out the second set numbers. 7 aces. 70% first serve in. That's the same exact number. He kept that the same, baby, from the overall. But here's the impressive part. 3 100%ers in a row. Roger won. This is the golden serving set. Remember we talked about how Rafa had a golden half a set where you don't lose any points at all. Rafa won 4 games in a row, I think, yesterday without losing a single point. But Roger did something here just as impressive. Wins 100% on first serve, 100% on second serve, 100% on net points. I mean, those kind of serving numbers, if Roger can keep that up, if Roger can serve like that, and I'm not saying, against a better player, against a Rafa, a Djokovic, who can return a lot better than Lachko. If he serves those very same serves against Rafa or Djokovic, somebody who's a really great returner, I don't know if he still wins 100%, but he's still going to win enough to win the set, you would think. If he can keep these kind of numbers up against guys like Cilic, nothing's going to stop Roger from getting to the final. What does he do in the third set? Just so we can see another 100, 2 of 100s on this one. 3 aces, 57 first serve in. That's a little bit lower first serve in, but it didn't matter because he won 100% of those first serves, and he won 67 on second serve. 100%, 3 for 3 on break point opportunities. Another impressive thing was Roger's, I think, was average for the match. Average service game was like 1 minute, 20 seconds. I know somebody out there is saying, Matt, it's only 2 rounds, but no, this is big, man. Because last year, Roger did not have as strong of a start as this, and these opponents are pretty good. Lachko, that dude was playing great in the first set. So he was serving very well. He was hitting a heavy ball, very clean ball striking. The commentators, Johnny Mack and Chris Fowler, were pointing out, very, very impressive. This is going to be the best surface for him to have a chance. He's already played on a lot of grass. Lajovic is a big, strong guy, too. And the next opponent, we'll talk about what's next for Roger. We'll look at his draw. We'll talk a lot about Jan-Lennard Struff. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you made some mean comments to me about Nadal. This is from Behangbiros. Disgustingly biased against Nadal. You'll meet the doom soon. Behangbiros. Heads up. How about a stick volley? I'm so sorry, we don't condone violence here, but that was just too much. I wrote back, I'm not. I love Rafa. I don't understand why people think this. I was pretty unbiased. Rafa said it himself, not happy with some of those serve games or his return. I'm rooting for him to reach the final here. If anything, I'm biased for Rafa. But don't take it from me. Listen to Rafa in his press conference right after that match concluded, talking about how he wasn't happy with his return and mostly happy with his serves, but definitely not happy with a couple of the service games in that third set, just like I said.
I did a lot of games good with my serve. Other ones that I suffered a little bit. I played a bad game with my serve, of course, in the first game of the third. But I'm happy more or less with the forehand. I went to the net quite often. Yes, of course, I can improve on the return side. I think the return was the worst thing that I did this afternoon.
Here's a little bit nicer of a comment, but still accusing me of BS video. Matt, I watched the whole video. I think it's BS from start to finish. Sorry to say that. I appreciate that. Where's the problem? Rafa won easily in straight sets. That's all he was asked. He was broken once. That's no big deal. And so was Djokovic, who played and won in a very convincing manner his first match. Your comments would have been relevant if Rafa had lost a set. Fortunately, it didn't happen as Dudisela was not even close to being a threat. By the way, you forgot to mention between 3-2 in the first set and 2-0 in the second, Rafa scored 22 straight points. I totally talked about it. I said Rafa scored half a golden set. I thought I went into a little detail on that. Maybe talked about it for, 20, 30 seconds. But El Cervantes has a good point because, yeah, if Rafa had lost a set, it would have been a big deal to point it out. In your first round, when you just won the French Open, haven't played anywhere since, no official matches for Rafa until that match that I was talking about, that's a big transition for Rafa. So to just have your serve broken one time and win in straight sets, that's no big deal. Right, I totally agree with you. But the numbers, I know it's the first match and Rafa will do better. All I'm pointing out is the numbers aren't where Rafa needs them to go all the way and beat guys who are much better than little. Remember, Dudisela is like a half foot shorter than Rafa. Now, for his size, I gotta admit, he hits the ball pretty big for his size. But still, he's a go-kart. You know, like Adrian Mannarino is a moped. He's like a little scooter. This guy, a slight upgrade. Dudisela, a little go-kart. And you heard it, Rafa said himself, should have been returning way better against the little go-kart serve. So let's look at some group stats and see where things stand. Now, no, you got to point out here, I got to point out, that some of these guys have only played one match. So we can still compare Roger to the big servers, and we're going to look mainly at serve stats because that's what rules at Wimbledon. We spent a lot of time looking at return stats during the French Open. Of course, Rafa was doing better on return than everyone. We're at Wimbledon now, so we spend a lot of time looking at serve stats. Everyone that Roger has to worry about before the final has played two matches. Well, they've come close to playing two matches, so we'll look at their serving stats. Some people are, unfortunately, rain delayed into their rest day. So let's look at first serves in. Rafa is up there with 74%. Roger right there with 71%. Stefanos Tsitsipas, 71%. Happy to see him up there. Karlovic, 70. Didn't work for him. Now, Rafa's high up there, higher than Roger, but at Wimbledon, that's why I'm going to invent a new stat where we're going to add up win on first, win on second, and percentage of first serves in. We're going to add them all up and divide them, and that will be the Wimbledon Power Serve Ranking. Now, I didn't do that for today's show, but we will do it tomorrow. After all second round matches are finished for the men's draw, I'm going to add it up, and we're going to figure out who's got, at least we'll look at some of the favorites. We're not going to do every single player who made it through two rounds, but we'll look at the favorites, and we'll figure out their Wimbledon Serve Power Ranking. There's Nick Kyrgios, 73% first serves in. That's a little scary. You know what his first serve's like. That's a lot of first serves to see going in. Win on first serve, Roger Federer, 92%. He's gone up 1% from where he was yesterday. Now, like I said earlier, some of these guys have only played one match because they play their second round tomorrow. You'll notice that most of the players who are winning in this category of win percentage on first serve have only played one match. On this list, the players with 2 rounds under their belts, and notice it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 guys out of 20 are on this list because the guys who have played 2 rounds have had more opportunities to hit serves and lose or win on their serve. And you will notice a lot of guys have done poorly and their number has gone down. Roger, on the other hand, has gone up. He's gone from 91% to 92% second place, although technically 4th place because there's 3 guys who have only played one match. So it'll be interesting to see after their second round match is over, will Alexander Sasha Zverev or Feli Lopez or Marcos Baghdatis, will they have a higher number than Roger Federer still? I doubt it. So we could effectively say Roger Federer is now on top of the win on first serve stat, which is very scary for his opponents. Now, Marin Cilic is on there at 89%. They haven't updated it because his match isn't finished. So still, we will see where he is. Maybe he will finish his match and his number will soar higher than Roger's, but I don't think so. We'll see. Now, win on second serve. Let's take a look at this. Roger Federer makes the list. He's a little bit down. Win at 64%. But again, most of these guys have only played one match. Will their number go up or down after two matches? And again, another thing to consider is that Roger has played a little bit tougher opponents than some of the other top players. So as I was saying, I like Rafa a lot. I prefer Roger. Anytime they play, I'll root for Roger. I'm mostly going to root for Rafa unless, if we're at the French Open and Roger's in one half and Rafa's in the other, I'm going to root for Rafa to lose there because I don't think Roger can beat him there. But other than that, I'm usually rooting for Rafa, especially now. Rafa, I'm just being objective, unbiased here. Rafa is not on the page for first. Second one, I know it's only one round, but it's something. We will note Djokovic is very high up on this list. Win on second. Win on second is very important at Wimbledon. It's very important everywhere. You're only as good as your second serve. But let's look at the one sheet that Rafa is on here. This is the one I said no one wants to see your favorite player on at Wimbledon. Longest rally. And guess who now has the second longest rally of anyone? Rafa versus little go-kart Dudisela, 24-shot. Now, I'm not going to say, if a rally goes over 10 shots, just give up. Like, Rafa's never going to surrender. Obviously, that's why he would have a 24-shot rally. But you got to be able to finish the go-kart on grass sooner than 24 shots. You'll see other players on this list had really tough matchups. Wawrinka and Dimitrov. That was an epic battle. Nick Kyrgios and Denis Istomin. Denis Istomin was playing very well in that match. Monfils and Richard Gasquet, two top players. Tennis Sandgren and Novak Djokovic. Although Novak Djokovic won that match easily, Tennis Sandgren has got a lot of power on the rally. He can really hang with anyone rallying, as he proved at the Australian Open. But Marin Cilic versus Yoshihito, Rafa versus Little Dudisela, shouldn't be seeing them on this list. So there you go. That's where things stand. Doesn't mean as much today because so many of those players have only played one match. After all play is done tomorrow, we'll have a pretty good idea of how everyone sizes up after two rounds. I think it's pretty important. The early signs can teach us a lot about what to expect to come. Let's look at Roger's future. What's to come for him? Jan-Lennard Struff is here in the draw, third round. Adrian Manarino, not very much power there. Medvedev's got some pop, though, so I don't know who's going to come through that match. It could be a very long match. But Struff has come through a couple five-setters now, so he's going to be very tired. This is good for Roger, but it's bad for Roger because, like Lajovic and Lachko, they're pretty good players. They've got enough firepower to hurt you on this surface, for sure. Struff is even better. He's a big, strong guy. Some people compare him to like a Tomas Berdych. We know Berdych has given Roger trouble at Wimbledon. Struff is a big, strong dude, a lot of firepower. He likes playing on grass. Remember, let's take a look at this. Remember this guy? I remember this match like it was yesterday. I want to say, it must be the third set. Struff was up a break, and a lot of us were worried, like, okay, Roger, finish this guy off. You don't need to waste like I say, you don't want to waste your energy in week one when your goal is to be winning at the end of week two. So you got to try to get through week one fairly quick and conserve yourself. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So they had a 2-hour match where I want to say Struff was up a break for the majority of that third set, and Roger really had to work his way into that tiebreaker is what I remember. So let's look at some of the stats from that match. One thing that jumps out at me right away, Struff had 35 winners, Roger had 36 winners. Now, that doesn't sound like a straight sets match, but it was. Roger's got a lot of X factors that Struff doesn't necessarily have an answer for. But as Roger said, listen to what Roger said in the ESPN booth talking about Struff.
I thought that maybe Struff would be tougher and more dangerous because he does have more baseline game than Karlovic. And as terrible and difficult it is to play Karlovic, I do believe that I will hold my ground on my own serve. So I will get chances eventually. But Struff is different. He can hang with me from the baseline, and he's got a nice serve. And I think I didn't see enough now, but he also serving volleys quite a bit. So I think he likes his grass court. Well. Yeah, he does, exactly. So he likes fast points.
So here you go. Big, strong guy, big serves, big shots, can hit winners from anywhere. A little bit dangerous, even for Roger, although I think Roger will be able to do plenty. He's played 10 sets now. And maybe that Medvedev guy in the future could be a little bit trouble too. Manarino is pretty ideal. I think Roger would love to play Manarino. So things look good going through week one. If he gets through Struff, if he gets through Manarino or Medvedev, Roger will be in week 2, conserving a lot of energy, looking really good. Potentially, we'll see. We have 2 more matches to play, but that's where we stand right now. So, my question to you out there, comment below. Are you surprised by how things are going for Roger so far? Are you still worried? I know a lot of people were really worried when he didn't win Halle. A lot of people were really worried that he might lose to Coric at Wimbledon, but we know that won't happen now. Comment below, where are you at right now? I'm very curious to hear from everyone. Thank you for watching Coffee Break Tennis, the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. Make sure you hit subscribe down below or just give us a thumbs up at least. Comment your thoughts on the show. Comment your thoughts on this Wimbledon, and we will see you very soon. See ya!